Thank you. Maybe to follow along with what the conversation was between Director Ray and Senator from Colorado. For most of my time in the Senate, I've been working to try to get data privacy legislation through the Congress. We have failed. We get this close, we get very close, and then issues of private right of action become a barrier between Republicans and Democrats. I just would make the public offer to any Democrat and any Republican that wants to work to get us to the point that we've been unable to be at. I am still ready, able, and willing to try to accomplish that. And I was going to ask Director, maybe the FBI director has answered this question, but I was going to ask the CIA director, what does all this failure to have data privacy mean in the intelligence world? So when they collect, and I think Director Ray was talking about this, but what does it mean to American citizens and to our national security?
Well, Senator, in terms of our national security, it obviously enables our adversaries' efforts at espionage as well. It enables them to steal intellectual property. It enables them to get access to sensitive technologies. It enables them to, spy on our citizens as well. So, it offers enormous opportunities, I think, for our adversaries.
General Barrier, anything to add to that from a
No, I concur with the Director of CIA.
Thank you. And General Barrier, what level of urgency would you attach to the issues of shrinking U.S. leadership in key technology areas? It's one of the reasons I voted for the CHIPS Act. What would you identify as the challenges we face, and what can we accomplish in protecting our country if we will invest in greater levels of technical abilities?
The ability to secure this technology keeps our adversaries from actually obtaining the kinds of kit that they need to develop their most advanced weapon systems. So our ability to protect those chipsets, the ability to produce them in the United States of America is very, very important to keep those out of the hands of our adversaries.
I have additional questions on this line, but I think in the public setting, this is something I want Americans to know. I think it's our natural instinct to believe we are the best at everything. And we can be, and in many instances we are, but it's a different world than the one I grew up in which we absolutely were. Tell me, again, maybe anyone can answer this question, but the differences in advancements that China is making in advanced manufacturing and automation, and maybe to you, General, the military consequences if we fail to advance our emerging technology capabilities.
Senator, I would say that the Chinese are advancing very, very rapidly in every warfighting domain that exists, whether that's space, cyber, air and air defense, ground combat, command and control, cyber. They are making very, very rapid advances, and the Defense Intelligence Agency is taking note of that and watching it very carefully.
We talked a bit about our neighbor to the south, a little bit further south in Latin America. Many countries in Latin America have elected leftist governments. What are the extent of the inroads that our adversaries have made in those countries which have been traditionally friendly to the United States? What's the difference in today's world in Latin America?
I think there's a broad trend that some of our adversaries take advantage of. I mean, we see this when we were talking about technology, whether it's, completing deals involving Huawei or ZTE or 5G, which, as we've all been discussing, enable access to data. It's something we remind, countries with whom we deal in Latin America all the time of the risks of doing that, especially with regard to the People's Republic of China, their economic relationships that can add to corruption in those countries, that can make them kind of one-dimensional economies, more and more dependent on the export of commodities to China, incur debts which will complicate their own economic growth sustainably over time as well. And certainly adversarial intelligence services try to erode our influence, in a lot of those countries as well. So it's a real challenge as well. In some places like Colombia, where we've had longstanding relationships in fighting narcotics and in, supporting the progress of those countries economically and politically, I think we're still able to sustain, a lot of the cooperation we've built up over the last 20 years or so. So we just have to work hard at it, relationship by relationship.
Director Burns, I was hoping you would answer that in 19 seconds shorter so I could ask Director Haynes a question, but you failed and so I failed. Thank you.
Well, I would say, Senator Moran, new member of the committee, but I think you focusing on this technology competition is spot on and appreciate it.